You've been watching, there's another big YouTube channel that do good things, Adam 22 Show.
Adam 22 and No Jumper have become a streaming titan, building a media empire from being superior when it comes to the monetization of gang culture. And sad to say, it's becoming a troubling phenomenon that has evolved in recent years. Platforms like No Jumper, they have provided a new and powerful medium through which individuals involved in gangs can showcase their lifestyles, exploits, and affiliations to a wide audience. Many individuals involved in gangs have used the No Jumper platform to discuss criminal activities, the politics that go on in these neighborhoods, along with sharing street stories in a glamorizing way. And not to mention, dissing other gang members. And a lot of times, a lot of that disrespect turns into viral content. And that content generates revenue through advertising, sponsorships, merchandise sales. And that's just to name a few ways how these type of platforms benefit.
On the other hand, I'm actually running an ethical business.
Though, bro, that's a big platform. Then you represent a whole community, a whole district, bro. You talking about different cities, nigga, different states, neighborhoods, everywhere, bro. Everybody watching you, bro. Whether you want to be in that position or not, bro.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, gang. You're not wrong about that, cuz.
Just seems like a lot of like gang members do come on this podcast, right?
No, yeah, definitely. But I just like, okay, there's different ways of being a gang member in your music, right? Like when you look at LA, that's one thing we always point out is that, you know, Chicago, it's so the norm to talk about the intricacies of who you got beef with and shit. In LA, they just, very small percentage of artists out here do it.
Yeah, it just must be crazy because like you talk to so many people who like have died recently. Like you're like the last person to interview FBG Cash.
Right there. His name's on the wall.
Bro, Dirk just did a 3-hour academics interview and answered every single question about beef like a grown-up. He just actually answered the questions because I actually asked you about a couple of different interview clips that were viral that mentioned
I'm trying to keep on digging some shit up out my boy. That's what I'm trying to figure out. They're still running content on a conversation that got leaked.
When you cover a subject that relates to like anything about gang culture, you're basically making a bunch of people aware of it who shouldn't be, because it's a sad thing, and there's not that many people that are actively involved like in violence. And it's kind of what DJ Academics did with War in Chirac, where he basically turns a sad situation into like a true crime spectacle for millions of people to mythologize and look in from the outside. And before you know it, that in turn amplifies conflict in the streets, because it just creates a YouTube algorithm that facilitates like all these offshoot bloggers who dedicate their time to like explaining these beefs that are sad and people shouldn't know about.
But see, while platforms like No Jumper raking in bag after bag from the drama, these destructive patterns, man, they contribute to the normalization of criminal behavior, to the youngins who watch these clips daily, man, who see this type of behavior as a way to get some motion, and they may want to try to emulate this same destructive type of patterns, man. And this type of harmful content related to the gang culture and the politics is very, very dangerous. Man, just instigating alone can start gang wars in a lot of these neighborhoods. You see, gangs operate within a complex social hierarchy, established rules, codes, and structure that govern their behavior and their interactions. And that alone can become dangerous when exploiting for monetary gain. And that's why behind the scenes, a lot of times certain situations have to get de-escalated before it's considered content turned into bloodshed. Because in reality, I highly doubt if things go left, No Jumper won't be on no front lines getting active, let alone taking them profits made from the instigating content to pay for funerals or take care of families of the providers who end up losing their life for their freedom behind these gang wars. You feel me?
Before we left, niggas saying that we was the ones that was causing all the drama. We was doing this, we was doing that. You feel me? We was doing this, we was doing this, doing that. Now it's more drama than it's ever been over there. You get what I'm saying? And then the crazy part about it is, it's niggas dissing each other that's on the same platform.
Right.
And niggas is getting invited and they going back and forth and going back and forth. Eventually, bro, this shit's gonna be a train. I'll tell you right now, when something happens, Cub gonna say ain't got nothing to do with him.
Right.
Mark my word.
Now, from the very beginning, it's definitely been a fascination with gang culture. I mean, it could be attributed to various factors, but the media representation from platforms like No Jumper portray gang culture in a glamorous or sensationalized manner. Platforms like these shape the perception and contribute to its mystique to the ones who are considered civilians, who find the gang lifestyle and the stories entertaining. So monetizing and catering to an audience of millions, it's safe to say it's here to stay. The millions that tune in daily have curiosity and a desire to understand a particular lifestyle that operates outside the boundaries of mainstream society. And with social media becoming a great way to provide for one's family, and not only that, but get rich, a lot of these guys, man, they see opportunity with leveraging their street cred and creating an online presence. And with a YouTube giant like No Jumper, man, these dudes build a following in no time. You see, for a person who been getting it out the street all their life, man, their motivation is to become legal and financially straight so they can lead a street life. But now realizing a platform's price like No Jumper, man, they need you living that street life for content and monetization purposes only.
Someone who could rely on a culture in a sense of culture that is out of control. Television, violence, drugs, you know what I'm saying? The whole scheme of things that, you know, children tend to take in, and if all that is antagonistic to their original culture, they're gonna grow up whack. They're gonna grow up into a situation where they're gonna be violent. They're gonna be despondent. They're not going to go with what is considered normal in this culture. And sometimes it's not normal for us as black people. And we got to understand that. A lot of times, we are being misled by a dominant culture that has not our best interest at heart.
Now, of course, No Jumper isn't the first to monetize from what goes on in the gang culture. And I'm sure they won't be the last. And this content in no way was intended to disrespect or offend anyone or any gang whose way of life comes from the gang culture. This is to bring awareness to what's going on with platforms exploiting and monetizing from that way of life. Straight up. I know the feeling of trying to find a better way, a legal way to provide for your family. But I'm in on this note, right? When you making that transition, it ain't gonna be easy. That transition comes with a whole lot of roadblocks, straight up. On top of the devil constantly working. And ain't no real transition with 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You gonna have to still face the same risk, whether 1 foot in or both of your feet in. And no content for the internet is worth crashing out over, straight up. Family is valuable. Validation is disposable. These big YouTubers, they say content over everything. I say value over validation. Man, it's Bezo. I said what I said. Y'all like, y'all share, y'all subscribe, man.